President Muhammadu Buhari earlier today approved the use of the old 200 naira note alongside the new 200, 500 and 1000 naira notes. The president, in his nationwide address, said the old 500 naira and 1000 naira banknotes are no longer legal tender in Nigeria. There is more in this report.
Loopholes associated with money laundering.
A national broadcast that was widely anticipated, but leaves so much more to be desired. The Central Bank of Nigeria's currency redesign policy has drastically weakened the purchasing power of citizens, an outcome that was least expected. President Muhammadu Buhari's directive that the old 200 naira notes should be reintroduced as legal tender contradicts suggestions made by the Nigeria Governors Forum and the advice of the Council of States for the old currency to coexist with the new naira notes until they are gradually phased out.
I have given approval to the CBN that the old 200 naira banknote be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1000 naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 naira note ceases to be legal tender.
The president has not considerably shifted grounds. He insists this currency redesign will restore the statutory ability of the Apex Bank to keep a firm control over the money in circulation, as about 2.1 trillion naira out of the banknotes previously held outside the banking system had been successfully retrieved.
I have been reliably informed that since the commencement of this program, about 2.1 trillion naira out of the banknotes previously held outside the banking system had been successfully retrieved.
President Muhammadu Buhari seems excited that the new monetary policy will contribute to the minimization of the influence of money in politics, which he says is a bold legacy step by his administration to improving the electoral process. But for Nigerians, the biggest gain will be to have access to cash, as they will have to wait for the central bank to improve the circulation of the new naira notes. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
A civil society organization has condemned President Muhammadu Buhari for saying only the 200 naira notes remain legal tender alongside the new 200, 500 and 1000 naira notes. In a press statement, the group executive director, Nelson Ekujimi, says pronouncing only the 200 naira notes as legal tender goes against the Supreme Court's order, and as such, the president is in contempt of court. The group also condemned the violence that has broken out in some parts of the country as a result of the naira redesign policy, which has caused scarcity of the naira, but asked Nigerians to remain calm. And reactions continue to trail the president's broadcast early this morning after revealing that the old 200 naira notes should remain in circulation until the 10th of April, April the 10th, while the old 500 and 1000 naira notes cease to be legal tender. Columnist Sam Omache says the president is implying that he is above the law. This comes after the Supreme Court gave an order for the old notes to remain in circulation until its adjourned hearing scheduled for Wednesday, February 22nd.
What we saw in this broadcast is that the president has elevated himself above the law by saying that we cannot no longer use the 500 naira bills and the 1000 naira bills as legal tender, whereas the Supreme Court has issued an interim order saying that all three notes, 200, 500, and 1000, should be used while we await the determination of the substantive suit. So what the president has done is to bring a certain military mindset into a democratic society. and to tempt Nigerian people to defy the law, which is, in a sense, a very dangerous trend from a man who was voted in by the people and not by the army.
Now, against the backdrop of the continued protest of youths over the hardship faced following the redesigned Naira notes, where several bank properties were destroyed and one killed, the state government says it has concluded plans to fortify security around the banks in the state. The state governor, Godwin Obaseki, who disclosed this at the end of an emergency security council meeting, said that they had tightened security around the banks while putting their operatives on the alert. He said more security measures have been taken to secure the commercial banks and their operations.
The people who undertook the damages of banks and banking assets were not depositors. Many of them were street urchins and what you call area boys. So this Security Council met tonight, and we resolved that we must restore security to the state and to our banking institutions. Security men have been deployed and will remain in those banking premises to keep calm. We are also putting pressure on the central bank authorities to do what they should do by making sure that they release cash to citizens.
President Muhammadu Buhari, as on Wednesday, met with the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress before attending this week's Federal Executive Council meeting at the council chambers of the presidential villa. The purpose of the meeting, or what was discussed, is unknown. The Federal Executive Council meeting also considered memos that gave approvals for the award of contracts. Femi Akonde has details.
The Federal Executive meeting started without the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. It is unusual for President Muhammadu Buhari to arrive late to a meeting he is presiding. TVC News was reliably informed that the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu had met privately with Mr. President before the Executive Council meeting, but that did not stop matters of state. The Federal Executive Council approved a contract for the installation of an electronic cargo note scheme at the country's major seaports. This is a private concessional arrangement that will take care of under-declaration and enhance transparency in invoicing, cargo transaction, and generate an annual revenue of $90 million.
The deployment and implementation of this state-of-the-art ECTN scheme will ensure the elimination of loopholes in border operations and boost the revenue of the federal government in form of duties, port charges, and levies. The platform will be deployed by a consortium of 5 companies made up of a foreign technical partner and 4 local companies.
The Ministry of Power briefed State House correspondents that approval was given for the award of contract for the installation of 132 kV single and double circuit transmission lines in some parts of the country to improve supply.
105 kilometer Kumboso to Kankia is also a 132 single circuit. 10 kilometer Alaoji to Aba town, this double circuit.
While the Federal Executive Council meeting was in progress, the presidency was also keeping close tabs on the Supreme Court to know the outcome of the hearing on the case instituted by some state governors seeking an extension of the currency swap deadline imposed by the CBN. As the Supreme Court tarries, it is unclear what position the presidency will take to resolve the cash crisis that is gradually snowballing into violent protests. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.